Welcome to Wine Road, the wine, when, and where of Northern Sonoma County. I'm your host, Marcy Gordon, with Beth Costa, Executive Director of the Wine Road.
Thanks to Ron Rubin, we're able to keep our podcast rolling along. The financial support of River Road Family Vineyards and Winery allows us to keep recording, keep sipping wine, and keep sharing stories with our listeners. Check out their website at riverroadvineyards.com and explore their Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Old Vine Zinfandel from the Russian River Valley, as well as a finely crafted Cabernet Sauvignon from the Alexander Valley. That's riverroadvineyards.com. And hey, thanks, Ron, for allowing us to make this show happen.
Welcome to episode 204. Today our guest is Rick Moshin from Moshin Vineyards. And we're really happy to see you. He was here a couple of years ago, but he's back to tell us some new things that are going on in the winery, including new varietals that they're producing.
We're already tasting.
And that we're already tasting, of course. So welcome, Rick. We're so glad you're here.
Well, thank you. It's so wonderful to be back and loving it.
Yeah, so far we're doing good. Tell us what it is that we're sipping on here this morning.
Oh, well, I brought a new release, 2023, Vermentino. This is a fruit from the Dry Creek Valley that we sourced very small amount from the Raymond Burr Vineyard.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah. I made this 3 or 4 years ago, and the last few years there wasn't any fruit available. But this is a wine that I stainless steel ferment. It's a native yeast fermentation, and then we filter it and bottle it, and it's really fresh. Look at how light the color is. Yeah. It's so beautifully light and delicate.
It's bright and it's juicy and
with the aromatics, it's very floral aromatics. It's just crying for warm weather.
Yeah, I think we all are.
Yeah, it's like it's been a rainy.
This is
spring,
a perfect breakfast wine.
Yeah, that's nice.
I think
a great
so.
Way to start the day.
It does. It's it pairs with a lot of wonderful foods.
It's great with some French toast, maybe some shashuska.
Even scrambled eggs.
And scrambled eggs, yes.
That's how we do it here in wine country.
Yeah, really. Well, no, because it has the right amount of acid to support some great, richer foods. I love this. Many people probably don't know that Raymond Burr had a vineyard, or he still does. He had a winery out there and Dry Creek Valley. So Vermentino is it's an Italian grape, is it not?
Yeah, originally Southern Italian, paired with a lot of seafoods. It's kind of has a silty kind of little bit of minerality to it.
Yeah, the limestoney effect here.
Exactly. So it's a fun varietal. I really enjoy it.
And you didn't do very much of this. I see it's only a couple hundred cases, right?
Yeah, we only made about a little over 2 tons. So it's a very small production. And that's what I've been busy working at, is a lot of small productions of just different varietals that I want to make before I do retire someday.
Well, that's what's fun, right?
I think that would be the fun thing.
You have your core program, and then you bring in these new wines, and it's great for the customers too, because they're able to experience new things to them. Some people probably haven't had this before.
Exactly, and I've been making Pinots my specialty, but I actually are doing a lot of fun projects. I have a Chenin Blanc vineyard, 50-year-old vines.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's wonderful. And this is a native yeast barrel fermented type wine that I let go through malolactic. And the Chenin Blanc originally from the Loire Valley. So what did I do last year is I went and visited with 4 winemakers in the Loire to talk about Chenin Blanc.
Nice. You did your research, a field trip.
I did. Just to increase my knowledge of that varietal. But then I was also lucky enough to acquire some Albarino from Miramar Torres Vineyard in the Russian River.
Wow, nice.
And this is a Spanish, mostly northern Spain varietal. Again, a white wine that's so refreshing. It just is super crying for summer. And so we did that project, and then we did a small amount of dry white symphony, a white hybrid from Davis that has some muscat in it, a cross of muscat. So Wonderful. And then we did some husk and a small batch of Pinot Blanc. So this was all last year. So
Well, that's so interesting because I see more and more of these white varietals coming in. I think because of our warmer weather and the variable of the climate, but they're delicious. They grow really well here. I feel like it really extends that flavor profile through these whites. I love that. And Pinot Blanc, how exciting is that?
yeah, the Pinot Blanc's actually a half an acre vineyard that we planted back in 2005. So the vineyard produces about 50 cases of Pinot Blanc.
Oh my gosh,
So,
50 cases.
Yeah, that's it. So we get about a ton out of there.
Hurry into the tasting room, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very small productions. The Symphony, I only have one row of Symphony, so we get about 30 cases of that. And that was planted because my wife, Amber, she loved that varietal. So when we planted the vineyard, I put in one row.
That's nice. How to appease my wife.
Yeah,
One row.
exactly. But it's a wonderful wine, and out of the 30 cases, she gets 10, so it only leaves 20 for the customers.
And you said that's a hybrid of what was this?
So it was created in UC Davis. It's a hybrid of Grenache Blanc and Muscat clone. So
Nice.
Yeah, it
That's
seems like when I
delicious.
first was working at Kendall Jackson years ago and they had bought Chateau de Bon, that's what they were.
Yeah.
That's what they made that's kind of what they were known for.
Uh-huh.
And they did a lot of weddings, and so it was like a really lighter, fresh white wine. So it was perfect for that.
Yeah.
I think the weather does have a lot to do with it. People tease me because I drink so much white wine more than red. But I live in Cloverdale, and it is super hot. And I mean, it's hot for 8 months out of the year. So I don't want to come home and have a great Zin or a great Cab. I'd rather have some great white wine that I can sit outside and enjoy, and I don't feel, overdone. And so to have other varietals, I love that. I mean, that's what I'd rather have. The Vermentino is killer. Oh, my God.
It's delicious.
Well,
That was really good.
I'll tell you a story about when I was in France and drinking white wine, and we went in this little shop to get some white wine, and we made a choice, and the shop owner goes, "Oh, wonderful choice." And he told me a story. He goes, when someone comes in their shop, he wants them to buy low alcohol wines. And the reason is, he says, if it's low alcohol, they finish the bottle. And then they come back the next day and buy another bottle. But if they were getting more, high alcohol wines, he goes, they only drink a half a bottle, and therefore I have half as much sales.
The economics of white
Yeah,
wine.
there you go.
Exactly. So
And now I don't feel so bad when I finish the bottle. It's not me. It's universal.
it is. So I want to mention also a good summer wine is our Pinot Rosé,
Oh,
which
yes.
is, we just released the new 23 vintage a little while back, and it is phenomenal. This is a wine that I make from free run juice. So, and the Pinot grapes come in, there's always a small amount of juice on the bottom of the bins, and we collect that juice. And so it's a wine that has zero tannin in it, and just the freshness of the
Nice.
free run of Pinot. So,
Rosé.
Yep.
I have a whole stash of rosé.
and to mention some other fun things this for summer too is we make a Grenache, 100% Grenache, which served slightly chilled is again a wonderful wine. You sit by the hot day by the pool.
Okay, I have to say, I had your Grenache last night.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and I did put a little chill on it, and it's just delightful. It's so good. We had it with, we actually made, like, my husband doesn't really like pork chops, but so we never eat them. I'm like, I'm making pork chops, and they were so good, but it was like perfect with the Grenache, and we had like some chard and asparagus, and the Grenache was such a great accompaniment to that. And but I did put a little slight chill on it. It was just delightful.
Yeah, it is. And so Grenache is a fun grape. It's actually can come out much lighter than Pinot, so it's a very thin-skinned, delicate grape too. And what you find is a lot of places like in the Rhone and other, a lot of Californians too, they blend
Oh, yeah.
the Syrah to make the GSM blend. So Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre blend, which I think takes away from that delicacy of the Grenache. So I do 100% Grenache.
Yeah,
I love
the
Grenache.
compromise was he was saying, I was saying, I'm going to open a white because we're having pork chops, but he really always wants a red. So I'm thinking, this Grenache would probably be a good compromise and it would be really delicious. And it really was. So
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. and then now, just because I'm a real nut when it comes to winemaking, so we made last year some Tempranillo from Miramar
Nice.
Torres, just again 2 tons, so I have 120 cases of it. And every year I'm looking. This year I'm actually going to score some Sangiovese and so make some.
I just love that you have
Sangiovese.
all these such small production of so many
Yeah.
of these wines. I mean, I think that it's got to be super fun for you. I mean, you can make a lot of Pinot and have, variety from different vineyards, but all these 100 cases and 30 cases and 20 cases, that is so cool.
So if you want to drive your staff nuts,
Well, yeah. Yeah. It's fun for you, but not anyone around you.
but we make about between 30 and 35 different SKUs of bottling each year.
My gosh.
So we are,
That is a lot.
yeah, we do a lot of small lots of all interesting varietals as well as contracted grapes. So,
Yeah. I mean, it's not a very big area,
No.
production area for that.
so you know that over the years, a lot of producers are making Pinot. It's just,
Right.
it seems like everyone wants to jump in the Pinot wagon. So what I did is I went and bought some Howell Mountain Cab. So I make 4 barrels of Howell Mountain Cab, to have a Napa Cab around.
Right. Well, and what a great experience then for the visitor, because everyone doesn't love Pinot. And so,
Right.
if that's really predominantly all you're doing, you might go because, the person you're with loves Pinot. So they want for sure to go to Moshin. They definitely want that Pinot. But then the other person can try all these other great things.
Yeah, I agree. But to mention some of the learning experience, because, I
There's
think,
good and bad
I-
learning experiences.
well, I think that, I've been making wine 42 years, and I know a lot about Pinot, but very little about other varietals. And you just can't make everything the same way.
Right.
So, for example, on the Chenin Blanc, when I went to the Loire, we talked about, technique. And so what we do, it's a little different than the French, but we take 20% of the grapes and we destem them and then we foot stomp them.
Oh, wow.
And then we let them soak. And we foot stomp them because by foot stomping, it's very delicate. It doesn't crush the seeds. And we soak it for like 2 to 3 hours on the skins. And then we press it with the rest of the grapes after the 3 hours. It goes into a tank, and then we micro-oxygenate the juice. So we basically turn the juice brown with
Oh, wow.
oxygen. Okay, and then we let it settle overnight. So what the oxygenation does is it gets rid of a lot of the greenness. I don't know the better way to explain it, but it's bell peppery greenness
yeah,
that I
yeah.
don't
The
like.
Parazines.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
pyrazines. It drops them out. Oxygen bonds breaks them up. It actually, so it breaks that component apart. So it's gone. Then we let it settle, and then we rack this brown juice into barrels, and we let it ferment. And everyone's going, "Oh, brown juice!" But the oxygen,
Everyone in the cellar is like, big mistake here, Rick.
yeah, it looks pretty bad. But the the yeast eats the oxygen.
Oh, yeah.
And so all of the brownness goes away. The wine, it turns nice and clear again. And then we let it go through malolactic. And so one of the things I learned in France is they, keep the wine in their cellar, and the cellar might be chilly, and they don't finish malolactic. So some years a French Chenin Blanc could be very tart, and some years it can be fuller and richer because of the malolactic, but they don't really control it. Whereas I let it go 100% through malolactic. It takes about 5 months, and we stir the lees.
Can you
We help
explain
it.
that a little bit? The
Yeah.
malolactic?
So malolactic's a bacteria that basically eats the acid, the malic acid, and produces a softer acid called lactic acid. So it's a bacteria. So it's a living organism, and it has to have the right conditions for it to work. So this is a good bacteria. There's a lot of bad bacteria in wine that cause spoilage. But the malolactic bacteria is desirable. A lot of people use it in Chardonnay.
Yeah.
We like our Pinots and our red wines to go through all full malolactic.
Doesn't it just make it creamier?
Yeah, fuller,
Yeah,
richer.
fuller, yeah.
It's softer acid. Malic is angular, sharp.
Yeah.
Lactic acid
Gives
is
it a roundness.
round and full. So it almost gives the wine a richness that some people confuse with sweetness.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it's a roundness on your tongue, which is very desirable. So the
Right.
Chenin, it goes through full malolactic, and we bottle it, but it's still super acidic. I mean, because the grapes have so much
Right.
acid in them. So this has been kind of a learning experience about how to balance the acidity in a Chenin Blanc.
And that was one that you only had 20 cases or 30 cases?
No, the Symphony we had 20 to 30
Okay.
cases. The Chenin Blanc, I get about 7 tons. I get about 400 cases of Chenin Blanc.
Wow.
So it's something that's readily available all year round at
Okay.
the winery.
Nice.
But
So-
Chenin Blanc here in Sonoma County is hard to find.
Correct.
There's very few wineries that produce that.
Very few. And this Chenin Blanc actually comes from Solano County, which is just south of Napa County. An old vineyard that's been around for a long time.
Yeah. That's
So-
exciting. I don't
So
think you-
now, I'm doing research on Sangiovese.
So you have a field trip planned?
To
Yeah,
Italy.
exactly.
I've been to Italy so many times, and the Sangiovese is a versatile grape, so they make Chianti out of it and with other blending grapes. If you go and try a Brunellos are 100% Sangiovese, are totally different. Big monster, ageable wines from Montepulciano. Yeah, I'm doing some research, but I've been there many times. So
Taste testing.
taste testing, and talking about Sangiovese. Sangiovese is actually similar in Pinot, that it's a very difficult wine to make, very finicky. Like Pinot.
Yeah.
It can kind of get away from you.
Yeah, it is. You have to, if you let it do native like I do, you have to constantly be monitoring it. So keep an eye on it. I don't have children, so they're like my little kids.
Those are all your kids.
Yeah, I have lots.
So you said you'd been making wine for about 40 years, but I think, and I'm sure you've told the story 1,000 times, but you were a professor, weren't you, to begin with?
Yeah, so I was.
So, man, how did this start? I think it's a great story.
Oh,
So I'm making you tell it whether you want or not.
well, yes, the story is a great story. So going back in the 70s, 73, I moved up to Sonoma County and went to the JC, and I graduated in 75 and moved down to San Jose to go to San Jose State to get my degree, which I ended up getting a degree in mathematics and teaching. So I worked at a little wine and beer store in San Jose for home wine and beer, and started making wine in my garage. And I was making beer too. We created a beer club in 78. But I always
ahead of his time.
I made wine in my garage, and was working at this little store. And then what happened when I graduated, I started teaching in 79. And at that time, I quit the little store, but I was still brokering grapes, making wine in my garage. So I was brokering grapes all over California. So I was getting grapes from the foothills, a lot of Zin, Sauv Blanc. I was getting Chardonnay from down south at Ventana Vineyards, Doug Meter. And then I was getting Napa Cab from Nils Venge, Saddleback.
But this is very small quantities, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
We get
like a couple
3 or
of
4
baskets.
No, 4 tons.
Oh, my.
And then we'd sell them to home winemakers. So I was a
Oh,
great
so you were
broker.
brokering.
He was
Yes,
brokering,
I was
yeah.
thinking this
Yeah.
one hell of a garage you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was doing, but I was getting Petite Syrah down in Paso, and I was getting Pinot from Bacigalupe, and I
Oh
was
my
actually
gosh.
buying.
You were getting some good stuff.
What
Yeah.
a great idea to be the broker to other garagistes. What a brilliant idea.
Yeah, other people did it. We were a store in San Jose that did it. Sold grapes to winemakers, but there are other stores. There was one in Berkeley. There was one up here. So there were people doing the same thing. So my garage basically grew up into like 30 barrels, like a mini winery.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it
That
was
is a lot.
too much wine. It was like
Yeah.
different varietals. So in '89, I decided to go commercial, and I bought a vineyard right on West Side Road, a Pinot vineyard, and started making wine commercially at the old Davis Bynum Winery.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
So I worked with Gary Farrell at the Davis Bynum Winery. He was the winemaker at the time, and I made wine. Start off 200 cases, and I would go and I would sell it around the Bay Area, and I sold it to the Spartan Pub. At the time, there was a pub in the middle of San Jose State University, which I was
Naturally.
teaching, and I was kegging rosé and Pinot, and they were serving it in the pub. So there was a book.
Made you a very cool teacher.
There was a book called The Tower List that the students created about the teachers, and I had one of the highest ratings. And
I
it
bet
said
you
there,
did.
it goes, yeah, take his class. He takes you for study guides in the pubs and buys pictures of rosé. So we'd study in the pub and drink rosé. So there's a lot of great stories.
That is terrific.
I taught for 26 years. And one time,
I mean, that's a full career right there. 26
Yeah.
years of teaching.
well, I looked at the class and they looked like totally lost. And I'm like looking at them and go, okay. I erased the board and I started drawing vines on the board. I said, this is how you cane prune a vine. And they're like, huh? This is how you head prune a vine. And this is how you cordon prune a vine. And they're like looking at me.
This is how you get their attention.
Yeah, they were like, at least they were looking. They weren't
Something
falling
interesting.
asleep. So,
Oh my gosh, that is awesome.
so
That could have changed my whole idea of math if I'd had your class.
It would have. So what happened after that is I was making wine up here and farming my vineyard. 89, we purchased the vineyard, and I was commuting back and forth and making wine at the Davis Bynum Winery, and started to grow and grow and grow. And so in 2000, we bought a piece of property that the Franceschi's owned on West Side Road, and built a winery. The winery opened in 2005.
Wow.
It was a 4-level gravity flow winery. It's great for making Pinot. And that was the same year, 2005, that the governor gave early retirement to the state teachers.
Oh,
So Arnie
Good timing.
said,
The
hey,
governor.
the governor, he actually, I got to retire in 2005 with full benefits.
Wow.
Just to pursue the winery dream. You know, we had our own winery, did production, sales, managed the vineyards at my own winery. So
I think, the reason I like telling that story here in the story is because I think visitors want to know that.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, that really was a dream. That wasn't just handed to you. It wasn't easy. You were working and commuting up here and going back to school and, you know, teaching and trying to get this built. That's a real passion. I can't imagine it.
It's a real hustle.
You know, it is. It wasn't, that's not easy.
there were circumstances. I was single, so that was a biggie.
Had time.
At the
Yeah,
time.
at the time.
Yeah. And then, I was totally dedicated. The winemaking to me is more artistic. It's, it's not, a lot of people are science-based winemakers, which is great. I'm not. I'm more hands-on, which means taste, smell. I'm not going just on numbers or lab
Right.
science. So it makes a difference, I think.
And that artistic extends to the tasting room as well, because
good
Rick and
segue.
Amber
Yeah.
have they're great supporters of the arts, and they have a wonderful rotating art shows in the tasting room. Tell us a little bit about what's coming up.
Yeah, the winery is besides having great tours, you can tour the facility to see the 4 levels and talk about what winemaking advantages it has. We support local artists. We have a Patrick Amio sculpture in the front.
Can't
Made
miss
out
it.
of
I love
The
that.
hummingbird.
Yeah, it's a hummingbird
Yeah,
that's
it's so cool.
suspended 10 feet in the air and 10 feet across on a stainless steel shaft. Amazing
It's
piece.
so cool. Yeah.
But we also support local artists. So the artist starting at the end of July is Brandon Bolden. And then we rotate every 8 or so weeks a new artist. So when you come in the winery, you can see, local art.
When you do that, is there usually a little reception the first when it starts, or?
Yeah, so you can check out our website. It's moshinvineyards.com. So you spell motion a little different. It's MOSHIN, vineyards.com, and look on the event page, and you'll have all the dates. We just had last month or so, we had our vineyard walk where we were walking through the vineyard talking about growing grapes and had a barbecue, super successful.
Right.
And then
And is
we
that
have-
an annual thing? So every year, kind of.
oh yeah,
Right. Okay.
every year we do the vineyard walk. Then we do a lot of other unique things you can check out on our site. So
Event calendars. That's
Yep.
the way to plan your trip.
And Rick's wife, Amber, is also an artist, and I went to a great reception of her art there as well. So it's very integrated. It's not just about winemaking and mathematics. When you say it's an art, it really is. It comes through when you visit the tasting room.
yeah, and my wife's Amber's art is going to be up end of November
Okay.
of this year, of 2024. So you can come see what
I went
she
to her
does.
show last year. It was wonderful.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
And are you still doing the authors? It seems like you haven't had authors that you've hosted also. It seems like you just have a lot of different things going on there.
Yeah, so we have a writing workshop where writers come to the winery and stay on our property for a week or so at a time and create a
Writing
write.
between the vines.
Yes,
There you go.
right in between the vines. So
Well, it's clearly supporting just arts in every level. I think that's great.
yeah.
Starting with the wine.
It's time for our Fast Five. Who do we have on the line now?
Hi there, this is Coco, co-host of Rockin Vino.
Hey, Coco.
Yay, good to hear from you.
Good to hear, or good to speak with you ladies as well.
What's your Fast Five, Coco?
All right, so I like to do healthy oatmeal chocolate chip cookies. And so
I
this
like it.
recipe is bananas, applesauce, oats, and milk and vanilla. And then there's an optional adding of cinnamon and chocolate chips. Actually, I guess that's 6. Sorry.
Well,
We can
the
go with that.
Spices
Yeah.
don't count as
Yeah,
an
yeah.
ingredient, so it's like,
Yeah.
that's cool. So how do you just put that all together? And
So you mash up the bananas, then you put in the applesauce, some oats, a little bit of milk and vanilla, and just mix it all together, and then add in, like if you wanted to add cinnamon, which I always do,
I would, yeah.
and then add in your chocolate chips once everything is mixed in, and then you put it on a pan, smash it down a little bit, and bake it for 325 for about 15 minutes or so, and they come out delicious.
So is this considered vegan? Because there's no milk, there's no vinegar, there's no sugar.
Right.
So this is super healthy, but
I
it
guess
sounds
it is.
delicious.
Yeah, I guess it is. And it is good. It's really easy to make. And I usually use almond milk when I make mine. So, yeah.
Okay, so that's still vegan.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the cinnamon is good for you.
Yes.
I have it in my coffee.
That sounds
Exactly.
great because how easy is that? You don't even need flour.
You don't. It's so easy and quick and
could do that.
delicious. And I always have leftover bananas. So
Marcy, I like that. I could do that.
I mean,
I could
really,
do that
I mean,
too.
I always see these baking recipes. I'm thinking, and then my before and my after, they never.
Well, mine never looks
pictures
like the
never
picture. I'm
look
like,
right.
yeah, well, it's close.
But
that sounds good, though.
That sounds great.
That's awesome.
Well, we'll put all that in the show notes. Thank you so much,
Thanks
Coco.
for calling.
Of course.
Good to hear from you.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye, guys.
So, are you at this point a reservation-only tasting room, or can people just pop in if they're driving down the road and happen to see that hummingbird floating and they think, got to pull in here?
Yes, so we're open 7 days a week now.
Okay.
With no need to make an appointment. I still advise making an appointment. It definitely helps us out with staffing,
Right.
and therefore you get more attention than if you just pop in. If you just
Right.
pop in, a lot of times we're really busy, and so
That's kind of what I've been telling people when they call. It's like most wineries at this point are more than happy to take walk-in tasters, but if there's wineries you for sure want to see and you really want a great experience, make those appointments and then fill in with, when you leave that appointment and you happen to drive by someplace else, pop in. But you should definitely try to make some reservations at the ones that are, can't miss, gotta see.
Yeah.
Let's see. Anything else new that we need to talk about?
Oh, yeah, there is one thing.
I like that. He sounds
yeah.
like me. One more
more
thing.
thing.
One more.
I was
'cause
one more thing.
It's very unusual how my memory works. But we are planning in April of next year, of 2025, a river cruise with the winemaker and his wife from Swan Winery.
Oh, wow.
So Rod and
Lynn,
Lynn
oh my gosh, that
And-
will be a trip.
and Amber and myself are doing a river cruise in Bordeaux.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
So it's a 8-day, 7-night cruise with Uniworld, which we've just a couple years ago went on the Danube River with Rod and Lynn. Wonderful cruise lines.
Those are nice because they're very intimate. You
Yeah.
know, the river cruise boats. It's
I mean,
not
I
like
really
a massive
hear
ship.
rave reviews about them.
Yeah. So we have, it's a small ship. It's 60 cabins, and we have 42 cabins reserved for
Oh,
our
how
groups.
fun. That'll be awesome.
So it is, and we have 3 separate events going on besides the events that are included with this cruise.
Yeah.
And I just have to mention the being on that cruise line before, the food
Yeah.
is top notch.
Right.
The chef there just surprises me every time I would go in the dining room. It's
Yeah.
like, my God. So we are going to do a wine dinner paired with our wines, and then we're going to do also a seminar on Cabernet since we're in Bordeaux.
Oh, yeah, makes sense.
So Rod's bringing a Russian River cab from his property. I'm bringing my Napa cab from Howell Mountain. And then we're going to compare that to a French Bordeaux Cabernet. It's going to be a blind tasting seminar, which is going to be, to talk here. You got Pinot producers talking about making Cabernet. So I got a little more research to do, but I'll be ready.
Teacher. You'll be ready.
I'll be ready by next year.
Yeah.
So
And what are the dates of that? Do you know?
it's toward the end of April of 2025. Again, it's on our website.
Be on the
nice.
it'll be on the
I would
event calendar,
definitely
probably.
check that out.
Yeah, and there's a link there that will take you directly to the itinerary.
Yeah.
So this is with Food and Wine. That's Food and Wine Trails that is going to help us put this together.
Yeah.
So
That sounds great.
I think that sounds really good. But I always just hear rave reviews from those cruises because they are smaller, so people love getting to really know the winemakers and hang out, not just a quick
Those
visit on the
other
taste
20
room.
cabins are going to be knocking on your door like, we're going to join up.
That's
you'll
cool.
find Rod and I will be on the top deck sunbathing, drinking rosé. So I can already tell you that's where you're going
Okay,
to find
so
us.
that's a picture I want to see.
Are there shore excursions included?
Oh,
Or,
yeah.
Gotta be.
Every day, they have a walking tour, a bike tour, and a bus tour somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you have to schedule them. They're included. You can just go up and say, I would just want to take the bikes out by yourself,
Right.
and you can ride around the towns, which is
Right.
great. We've done that. So
That sounds
That
fantastic.
sounds super great.
Huh.
I love it. Okay, so I think that's probably just about it, but I do, as usual, have one more thing. I did just want to mention that the tickets are on sale now. We have our summer wine trail. It's July 13th. We have 47 wineries, which is awesome. I'm so excited about that. It's $50 for the day. So for people who, get frustrated, they are paying tasting fees every winery they go to, and they want to just pop in some places, this is really the perfect opportunity to do that. It's $50. You can go to any of the wineries that you want to see. It's just a walk-in tasting. We have a really detailed program on our website at wineroad.com. Every winery lists exactly the wines that they'll be pouring. So if you're just a fan of Zinfandel, or you just are looking for rosé or whatever it is you want, you can see, who's pouring what, plan your day. I would say you could probably get to 4 wineries really comfortably. It's from 11-4, $50. Power on. So
Sounds
that's
great.
it. Summer Wine Trail, wineroad.com. And I guess that's it.
So if you're looking to come and visit Moshin Vineyards, you can find them on www.moshinvineyards.com, I assume.
yep,
And-
all right.
spelled Moshin.
H-I-N. And
So
we will put
that's
that in the show notes.
Great. Yeah.
And you can look and see what art's coming up, look and see about the cruise, check out the different varietals and the different wines in the portfolio. And it's all there for you. And come visit Rick.
Yes, that'd be great. We'd love to see you. There's also tours if you would like to schedule a
Nice.
tour of the 4-level Gravity Flow Winery.
Yeah, that's
it's
a
a
must.
unique.
Very
That is
unique.
really worth seeing. And then it's so clear in your mind when you're seeing it, just how it works. I just love it. How fun. Okay.
All right. Thanks so much,
Right.
Rick.
Thank
Thanks
you
for joining us.
Sure.
Talk to you later.
See you on the wine road.
Okay. Bye bye.